Hello everyone. In this video I want to talk about while loops. We'll look at how to create one and when to use one. Let's get started in our text editor. To create a while loop, we use the while keyword. Now we need to put in some type of logic statement. So let's use I is less than 0. And then to end the while statement, we put a colon. Before we get into more of the while loop, we have to designate this variable beforehand. So let's go up a line and then say I is equal to 10. Now, since we're using a while loop, we'll drop down to the next line and it'll be indented slightly. This indentation just means that all the functions that we define in here follows this while statement. So while I is greater than 0, all of these actions will be performed. So let's say print I. The best way to use a while loop is to change this variable that we defined right here. We'll incrementally decrease this by 1 until it gets below 0. Once we get below 0, that means the while statement will no longer be true and will break out of the while statement. So let's say I is equal to I minus 1. If we didn't put this, then we would never change this variable. And that means that we would have an infinite while loop. If we didn't put this line of code, then our code would run for forever. You don't want this to happen because your script will never be completed. So if you accidentally start an infinite loop, you'll have to use the command and C characters to exit out of it. So right now our while loop starts at 10 and it will print every value going down from 10 until it reaches 1, which is the last integer value that is greater than 0. But let's make it like a countdown. I'll import something that you don't necessarily have to, but we'll use it as an example. So we'll import the module time from the Python packages. You can use this whenever you want to create pauses in your script. Right now, if we were to execute our script by opening up a command prompt or a terminal, typing Python 3 in the name of the script, mine being while loops.py, we'll see that it returns everything in an instant. Since I want to make mine more like a countdown, I'm going to use the time module that we've imported here by typing in time, and then I'll use the function sleep. What this does is you pass in the number of seconds into the sleep function that you want to pause in your Python script. I'll pause for 1 second in between each iteration of this while statement while it is true. That way it's like a true countdown. Now when we print this, we see that a countdown occurs. So we count down from 10 all the way to 1. Now let's talk about how we can use an else statement. We'll go back to the same level of indentation as our while, and then we'll put in else. Whenever we break out of the while loop, this is the action that will take place. Let's print liftoff and save our file. Now when we execute, we have a countdown from 10 all the way until 1. And once we break out of the while loop, we should get liftoff. Let's drop down a few more lines and create one more while loop. So let's go ahead and comment this one out. This time, let's say that I is equal to 1. We'll create our while loop by using while I is less than 1000 and use a colon to end the statement. Drop down and we'll indent, and then we'll say I is equal to I plus 1. This will be the way that we break out of the while loop. So we'll incrementally increase the I variable by 1 until it reaches 1000. We're also able to use nested statements. Here we can include an if statement. If I is greater than 500, we'll print I. Now if we only want to print one value, we can type in the keyword break. Since break will be executed whenever I is greater than 500, it will take us out of the while loop and will only print one value. We'll save this and execute it. When we do, we see that we get exactly what we expected, 501. But let's say that we wanted to continue and we wanted to print every value after 500 until we reached 1000. Instead of break, we could just use the keyword continue. Executing it again, we should see that we returned every value between 1000 and 500, which we are. While loops in Python are not as common as for loops. However, we still need to know how to use them. The important thing is that we always designate a way to break out of the while loop. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Until next time.